The Greenearth Co-op would like to extend our most heartfelt condolences on the passing of your grandmother, Rose. She was a green witch of unparalleled power and the healer of both body and spirit. She will be greatly missed. Per your grandmother's wishes, you have been approved to take immediate possession of her apartment. We look forward to welcoming you to our community. You crumpled the letter and left it in your dorm room, but you couldn't turn down the invitation to take over your grandmother's apartment. There's not a lot of work for a newly graduated necromancer, after all. Your grandmother had always been a constant in your life, taking you in every summer while your parents worked. And under the boughs of her beautiful garden, she tried to teach you how to listen to the plants and hear the hum of magic that connects every living thing. Your magical talents, however, lay elsewhere. You were just a teenager when you left for necromancy school, and you took for granted that your grandmother would always be there. One day you thought you would make even one of the most powerful green witches in the world proud to have a necromancer for a grandchild. Instead, you return to an empty apartment. The space resonates like you're trapped in the ribcage of a giant beast, a place where something vital once was, a beating heart that kept everything else alive. You didn't have high hopes for her garden, but it still hurts when you see what remains of it. The once green patio has withered, crispy leaves littering the floor. Every hair on your arm stand on end as you survey the hopeless garden. They are dense with the energy released by dying things. In the dullness of grief, you feel a welcome stab of anger. Your grandmother was so beloved. Why didn't any of her friends take care of her garden? There's no salvaging any of these plants. More work. You haven't even finished moving in yet. Still, that anger is the most energizing emotion you felt since you heard the news she passed away. You let it spur you into action. You eye the humbling mountains of your possessions and decide that you'd rather tackle literally anything else, even if it requires you to garden. Thank you so much for joining me for Greenhearth Necromancy. This was a game I kept seeing on my Reddit feed, and it looked really interesting, so I finally clicked the link and took a look at it. And it is an idler, relaxed game. Some story elements clearly that are happening, but it looks really interesting, and it was pretty inexpensive, so I thought I'd give it a try. Not exactly sure what it wants from me. You kick open the compost box in the corner and start dumping the brittle brown plants into it. As a necromancer, you're no stranger to death. Your magic is powered by energy pulled from the dead, and you feel the lingering spirit of these plants on the edges of your senses. But before you can shove more than a couple in the compost, the dirt itself shudders and clambers up from the box, folding itself over the lip with two mounds crossed like arms. Oh, buddy, ain't you a cutie? Little cutie patootie. A small green shoot spirals up from the plant detritus, growing and curling until it forms a broad leaf. A form begins to take shape from the compost, a round head with two beady beetle shell eyes, and as you watch, a mouth that splits into something you swear is a smile. Jeez, the dirt creature rasps. One of its arms brushes off some dead leaves. You take a little nap, and there goes the neighborhood. You get the strangest feeling that the dirt is looking at you. Hey, you're Rose's grandkid, aren't you? Okay, we're going with number 3 since that was my natural reaction. You're so cute. And a little stinky. I get no respect, the compost heap exclaims. Just treat me like dirt, why don't you? It pauses as if it's waiting for laughter. Get it? No? It's funny, you see, because I'm made of dirt. The pile of animated compost seems to laugh at its own joke. I'm a familiar kid. Rose is familiar specifically. She named me Compostifier. Or Compostifer? Compostifer must have been. You frown. You don't remember your grandmother having a familiar, but then you hadn't spoken to her much in the years since you went to necromancy school. Its voice softens, and the leaf wilts a little. I'm guessing, 'cause you're standing here. That means your grandmother shuffled off the mortal coil, and I'm all that's left of her. Sound about right? You nod, and the creature, Compostifer, sludges back a little into the compost box, quiet. All living things eventually die. Plants, humans, even me one day. That's the way of things. It gathers itself, stretching towards you. But death isn't the end. Dead plants help the living ones, and for now, you and me are alive. Between the two of us, we can get this garden going again. But I'm a necromancer, not a green witch. Yeah, Rose said you'd probably say that. Compostifer hums. But it doesn't take a green witch to grow a garden. It just takes a little care, a lot of knowledge, and the right conditions, and a bit of heart. It loops its pseudopod-like arms back over the edge of the bin. Look, kid, I know growing things isn't your whole deal. You got a black thumb. Things tend to die when you're around. I get that more than anyone. It tilts its head. But Rose believes you could be a great gardener one day because you are a necromancer. No one's ever accused you of being a good gardener. Even your grandmother had trouble understanding you, especially when you wanted to go to a weirdo school for necromancers instead of learning more remarkable skills at her alma mater. You could have been a mortician or a spirit medium. Instead, you spent years in the middle of nowhere, communing with the dead and learning their magic. Keeping things alive was the last thing you would have learned at school. Your studies were focused more on... keeping the balance of life, death, and then the undying. Pestilence and decay is a part of life, and embracing the unpredictability of magic fueled by death. Let's do this one. Keeping the balance of life, death, and the undying. As a student of the College of the Silical Necromancy, you learn to appreciate the equal importance of life and death. For a necromancer, this often meant presiding over deaths, some by your own hand, but more often death came naturally in the harsh, natural environment around your school. Being fully present for that sacred transition gave you access to its power, allowing you to temporarily tether it to another vessel and create the undead. Life to death, death to undeath, lingering until the power fades, as it always must. Yeah, that's what I studied. You're not a powerful green witch like your grandmother. In fact, you failed necromantic botany twice. Once on purpose, because it reminded you too much of her, and the second time was by accident. You cautiously touch one of the remaining dead plants, and you feel that shimmering pool of the power inside it, the energy of death. Maybe it's time to dust off that spellbook and try Revivify, one of Rose's old plants, to give it a new unlife. Why does it kind of look like a centipede? Undead plants need nutrients too. You feel about as confident taking care of undead plants as you do with living ones, which isn't promising. How much water do they need? How much sunlight? Sure, you can just revive them when they die again and again and again, but it feels like a waste. If your grandmother were here, she'd know exactly what to do, even with an undead plant. You could have tried harder to understand what she was doing out here when you had the chance. You're supposed to be an all-powerful necromancer. You have the diploma to prove it. Surely you can keep an undead plant happy. Anything that exists can be studied. Anything can have its secrets pried open by research and ritual. These plants will not best you. You have magic on your side. And brain power, too. Your spellbook is too powerful to be scribbling research notes in. Not like that stopped you when you were bored in class. But now you're an actual necromancer. Your spellbook should probably reflect that. The rest of your school notebooks are still packed away somewhere, but there are a ton of books out here on the patio. Protected, you imagine, by invisible humidity-repelling germs. Your thumb through a stack of books, looking for one to cannibalize for your purposes. Magazines, an overdue library book about potions, a book on medieval witchery, a book about crop rotation, another magazine. Your fingers stop on a notebook that stands out from the others. There's a sticker on the spine you recognize. It's Zagax the Death Maxer, the villain from a cartoon you used to watch. Wait, this is your notebook. You pull out the notebook and laugh at your crude, prepubescent scrawl on the cover, ostentatiously declaring the Codex of Doom. You remember buying and decorating it, intending to use it for writing all your secret thoughts. I sort of notice number 3 has been my go-to. Your parents traveled for work often, which is why you spent so much time with your grandmother. You didn't really have a lot of friends you could talk to, and this book was supposed to be your outlet. Like most things, though, you lost interest in it after just a few entries. However, that's not what you see when you flip through its pages. The once empty book is filled with notes, written in your grandmother's tidy handwriting and decorated with whimsical stickers, pages upon pages of notes about plants, watering schedules, growth patterns, and spell brainstorming. There's way more here than you can read in one sitting. Your grandmother must have used this notebook for her own research. She could have chosen any notebook. Why did she choose the one that reflected that weird kid you used to be? You're grateful for all this research, though. What a great way to start learning about your new undead friends. General happy plants flourish and grow, while unhappy plants struggle and die. Fishburn. Oh. Okay, so I wanted to be there. Undead. Okay. Who's at the door? You jolted out of your research by a chipper knock at the door. Resentful at the loss of focus, you answer the door in a huff, and standing at the door is a woman in her mid-30s or so, radiating the calm yet eccentric charm of a high school art teacher. She has a potted plant under one arm and extends the other to you with a bright smile. Hello, neighbor. You must be Manilia. I just wanted to stop by on our first day and welcome you to the co-op. She shakes your hand. Her hand is warm and soft. Her nails are painted yellow. I'm Laurel. When I moved in a few years ago, your grandmother took me under her wing. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. She talked about you all the time. Her smile turns, a little thoughtful. When she learned she was sick, I had the honor of helping her make arrangements and prepare for moving on. That's my calling. I'm a death doula. Oh, what kind of arrangements? She gestures to the apartment. As a necromancer, I'm sure you can appreciate that dying is not the end of someone's story. I worked with Rose to settle her legal affairs, such as the transfer of this apartment to you. I helped with the cleaning, organizing, donating, contacting people, and ensuring someone's final wishes are respected. She drums her nails against the pot in her arms. And if they want it, I'll help family and friends understand and come to terms with those wishes. So I wanted to bring you something that Rose did want you to have, and to offer my support as you navigate your grief. Trust me, you don't want to leave that plan. Guess we'll go with number 3 again. Thanks for being there for her. I wish I had been. It was important to her that you continued your studies. I know it's not easy to hear. Part of my job is helping people understand their loved one's last wishes. She offers you the plant. It's heavier than it looks, and it makes the hair on the back of your arms stand on end from proximity to the sheer potential fizzing in it. She chose This one, especially for you. I think it may be one of her more forgiving ones. Just try your best. That's all she wanted you to do. Sometimes you can receive living plants along with your dead and undead ones. If you keep a living seedling alive long enough, it might even grow, but you can't use your magic on living plants. Note that plants in your inventory are put in stasis. They will not use water, grow, or die, and any effects on them are paused. Why don't you revive more of Rose's old plants? Undead, health 10, age. It's a sapling. We have a social battery right here. That is interesting. Pick your favorite, then you can feed it to the others. Alright. What do you mean? Okay. Oh. Alright, my bad. This time when you hear the super knock on the door, you know what to expect. It's Laurel on the other side. How are you settling in? She asks. You shrug and she laughs. Ugh, it's to be expected. Moving is difficult at the best of times, and the times, well, they could be better, right? She steps back and tilts her head down in the hallway. I was thinking I could show you around, just a little walk around the co-op. It's a beautiful building, really, a mix of mid-century occult, revival, and brutalism. Oh, I've lost you, haven't I? She laughs, and you realize you stop listening at the prospect of leaving the apartment. Come on, I promise you'll get something out of it. She points out a few more things about the architecture as you wander down the hallway to the stairwell, across the skyway, and onto the roof of the other building that you can see from your patio. Apparently, your grandmother had taken an interest in the building's development and the formation of the co-op in her later years, which she shared with Laurel. It sounds a little superstitious, like the repetition of groups of 5 and the architect's insistence on having a fire pit built onto the roof. I'm not a witch myself, but I have a magical practice of a sort, Laurel explains as she holds open the door to the rooftop garden. I think there's magic in everything we do. How we speak to others, how we care for ourselves, and the way we treat our environment. The energy you put into the world is what you get back from it. I don't know what these little symbols mean. We're gonna say say that's neat. She beams. Hey, thanks, she says. I can tell you have a good heart, and if you keep putting that I can tell you have a good heart, and if you keep putting that enthusiasm out there, you're showing the world that's who you are. You follow her out onto the rooftop garden. There are raised beds here in various stages of flowering, a shed for communal tools, and a few silent beehives. Your grandmother had these installed, she says, and points to them. No one was able to care for the bees when she got sick, so we had the queens relocated. She waves to one of your fellow residents working away at one of the garden beds. Good morning, Miss Chen. That cow is looking beautiful. She looks at you, eyebrows raised, inviting you to put your energy out there. Smile and wave. Your neighbor waves back, and she continues on through the garden, with you trailing after her. You'll make friends on your own time, she says, encouragingly. You emerge from the greenery of the garden to the patio area. There are a few scattered plastic chairs, as well as the fire pit over at one side. You can see it from your window, but up close, you can see the plastic wrappers and cigarette butts that have accumulated in it. There are odd decorations built around the pit, too. 5 windows surrounding it, 2 round and 3 square. She stops and looks over the common green space below. You can see people lounging in the sun and walking across the bodega and the community center. You don't have to be friends with everyone, she says. You don't even have to like everyone. But you'll form relationships with them, good or bad, whatever you do, so you may as well do it on purpose. I don't know what that means. I'm going to go with this. I'll try my best. People are complex. Your best might be different each day. You can be full of energy one day and tired the next. Warm with some, cold with others. That doesn't mean you have different personalities. It just means you're human. She pulls off one of her bracelets and ties it around your wrist. If you're consistent with your words and actions, you can channel that energy into the real world. Take this, for example. While I've been talking, I've been charging it with a little magic of my own. Go ahead and see what it does to your plants at home. I think you'll be surprised at how powerful the effects can be. Even if you're inconsistent, that's fine too. We're different every day. It can be easy to be pulled in different directions, and the world has a way of making things you might not need fall into your hands. For instance, the co-op has a little free library of potions and things you might like. She turns back to look down at the courtyard. I get a feeling this is a big step for you. Must be overwhelming, moving from the wilderness to the big city, being surrounded by people. Am I warm? You nod. There's a community here when you're ready to be part of it. Laurel continues. If you ever feel isolated or disorganized, or like you never say the right thing, just remember that people will still show up for you. She walks you most of the way back to your apartment after that, keeping the conversation light. Her bracelet clinks against your palm as you walk. She wasn't kidding. You can feel the magic in the item. You wonder what effect it will have if you wrap it around one of your plants. You have a ton of little trinkets like this packed away. You resolve to pay attention to the energy you put into the world from now on, and see how they manifest in this kind of magic. Narrative choices will be paired with one of 5 symbols. Once you've accumulated 3 of them, you will receive an item. If the symbols don't match, you'll get a random consumable like a potion. If they do match, you'll get a random charm. Either way is beneficial, so there's no pressure to match. You're also going to start getting more narrative event cards that you can play at your leisure. Gold-colored cards are key story events and character events, while silver cards are smaller random events. Both are required to advance the narrative, but silver cards can be also discarded for resources like social battery. Don't worry though, discarded random cards can always be drawn again. Base 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay, I see. So I'm trying to understand. That is where it is, and that's where it wants to be. Okay. Sorry. I didn't understand, my dude. I understand now. Okay, and I see it's overwatered. Water preferred. Okay. You hear a groan from the compost box. The lid slides open and Compostifer's head pops out. It's hard to tell, but it looks fuller somehow, like it's just woken from a big post-turkey dinner nap. Makes a big show of yawning and lounging against the wall of the container. Rose really knew how to grow 'em, it sighs, and you're no slouch either. Undead plants. Who would have thought? Its soil sort of scrunches up, wincing. Feels like we got a live one, it mutters. You watch as a small green insect crawls out of the soil, then buzzes away in irritation. Did that come from me? Composter wonders, looking at itself. Wait, it must have been one of the plants you fed me. Any of your little plant friends have a pest infestation? I'll check. Yeah, go ahead and do that, Composter replied, distracted, as it rubs itself against the box. Makes you feel itchy to watch. You examine your plants, and sure enough, you spot green bugs swarming all over one of them. The plant droops like its happiness is literally being drained away. You describe them to Composter, who perks up. Those are aphids, it exclaims. Your grandmother knew how to deal with the little buggers. There's a book around here somewhere where she kept all of her recipes. You look around the patio for the right book, and you find it in one of the drawers of the gardening bench, a small binder for index cards. Looks like you should find a recipe for apple pie inside it, but on the front it is written, Brewer's Compendium. We flip through it. You flip through the book, and it's not just any... My limit is about 30 minutes, and after 30 minutes of talking, my mouth dries up and I cannot talk anymore. All right. You flip through the book, and it's not just pesticides. It's also fertilizers and a few different kinds of potions. You're not sure if they'll work the same if they're powered by necromancy, but that doesn't mean you can't add to it. It is your family recipe book, after all. That means it's yours now. She was always scribbling in her books. It was reminiscing. You can't just use any old pesticide on any old pest, you know. There's oil and vinegar and mint and even heat. Some work better than others, and some don't work at all. And then there's fungi and diseases to deal with, too. Well, may as well try. You got this, Compostifer encourages. You look through your grandmother's journal and cross-reference with the recipe book. Compostifer's right. Different pests are weak against different types of pesticide, and you'll have to spend some time researching to figure it all that out. However, it looks like horticultural oil, whatever that is, works for a little bit against everything. That'll have to be a good enough place to start until you do a little more research. Time to grab the recipe book. It looks like it will take a little while to brew. You should get started now and just hope that the infestation doesn't spread. Alright, I think I'm going to stop here. It's my 30-minute mark when it comes to narrative games. My voice gives out and I can't read anymore. So, I will be back soon with more. I'm actually really quite enjoying this. It's a little cute game. Yeah, back soon.